So you're very welcome. It's Aisling Mooney, and I have a really juicy webinar, masterclass Q&A with Lynda Mangoro today, the creative genie. And this is really about tech for light workers. That's what we really wanted to dispel a few myths, sort of help you if you're struggling with tech in your business, help you to make friends with tech, help you to look at your branding. Lynda's going to give us some secrets around that you can use right away on your website if you have one. And then how, if you haven't created a website yet, the things that you need to do right at the very beginning. So I just take you through what's going to happen in the call, and then you can see what it's about. You can see if it's for you right away. So we're aiming to in about 60 minutes. So I'll start with a very quick introduction to myself, then Lynda, I'll pass it over, and then we'll talk a little bit about why this webinar. It's going to be very fluid and intuitive, usually the way I work, you know that. So we'll be winging it a lot of the time. We have a few questions to go through, a few secrets, but we're open to other stuff as it comes along. So please feel free to write your questions in the chat at any stage. So a little bit of an introduction, why this webinar, and how we hope you to be at the end, or the insights or ahas or breakthroughs that we hope that you have by the end of this. And then we're going to dive into content. So about 3 different points around branding, around the very first thing that you do before you even start to create a website. And what was the other thing? Oh, and how to make friends with tech and why it's so important for light workers in particular. So some juicy topics there. I've already been speaking to Lynda about this. We've been talking about half an hour, and I was saying, oh my God, I wish I had this recording now. So much really great things just to give you encouragement, especially if you're struggling in this area. And then at the end, we'll share an opportunity for you if you want to take this deeper. If you're looking for support, you're really like, okay, tech is just not your genius point and you just really want support with that. Lynda will talk you through a really beautiful offer that I've taken her up on recently, and I'm going to post my website as well so you can have a look at that. And you're free to take that. And then there's an extra option, and she's given us a wonderful discount just for people watching this webinar. So you are free to avail of that at the end or not. Absolutely fine with us. We really just want to give you as much value as we possibly can in this hour. So, and answer as many of your questions as possible. So we aim to do within 60 minutes. Of course, there will be about 15-20 minutes or a little bit longer if needed for direct questions and answers with Lynda if anyone really needs that. So you can choose to finish at the hour mark, or you can hang on with us and just get some direct juicy guidance from the wonderful Lynda. So how does that sound? Give me a yes in the chat box. And just to remind you that it's a free recording, so it will be made public. So at the moment on the screen, I can see your faces at the top. If you don't want to be on the video, you can just cut your camera. That's no problem, unless if you want to come on for the Q&A. But you can stay visible as well if you want to. But I'm just letting you know that this is a public recording. So it's up to you if you want to be visible on it. So very quickly, I'm Aisling Mooney. I'm a spiritual business mentor. I work with light workers, helping them to grow, expand their business online and throughout the world. And I do that from my own personal experience, having learned the hard way, combining traditional marketing business skills, but using the energetic and combining that bit of magic to grow my business 300%, to be in a position now to do 10K launches. I'm moving into a 15K launch this month. And it just keeps growing and growing and growing. But I started off struggling, not having any money, giving away my gifts for free, and certainly nowhere online, literally in little groups or one-to-one clients, physical work, people coming to my house for healing, or in a room that I rented, or coming in groups. So for me, getting online was one of the biggest, it was just like a huge door opening to the world that made things easy. And that's one of the main reasons for this webinar, is that I know that a lot of you in my community are still so scared of the tech, are still missing those links. And, you know, I'm a teacher, my degree is in education and training. And I understand that when I started with tech, I felt like a child in the classroom, and I felt like the child that was a bit stupid and didn't understand the new terms, or the, you know. So I just want to reassure you that this is a really safe place to learn. It's an encouraging space. Lynda has been wonderful and very, very patient with me, even in my own web design journey. And just to very briefly to say that I have created websites. I've created about 10 different websites on my own in the last maybe 10 years. And they've all been awful, absolutely awful. So I've had website shame. Now, I've made money without having a beautiful, fancy website. So I will say to you straight up, you don't need a website to make money in your business, but you do need a basic handle on tech, and you do know how to create, you do have to know how to create a web sales page and an opt-in page. These are two really important things. And that's literally how I've grown my business, is from these two pieces. And then in the last 6 months, I met Lynda, and she has helped me to finally create a beautiful website that I'm really proud of. But it's just to really reassure you that you don't need a website, but at some stage in your business, and wherever you are right now, it will become a priority. It will become important. So for me, it became important in the last 6 months that I finally got a website that was singing, you know, and that really vibrated with me and my vibration. So any questions on that, post in the chat box. I'm now going to hand you over to the wonderful Lynda Mangoro. Lynda, maybe if you could just tell us a little bit about your journey. And, you know, one of the reasons that I've connected with you, like I worked with other web designers over the years, but the difference with you is that you get the spiritual, you get the light work, you get the magic, you get the intuition, you get allowing in that other magic that's in the air. And I loved that. I loved creating my logo with you and all that just, you know, and I was able to share stuff openly without fear of ridicule or anything like that, you know, of some of the, I talk to angels, have guides. So it was really refreshing to have someone that understood that. So maybe just tell us a little bit about your journey, Lynda.
Yeah, and thank you. And I'll start by saying it is a pleasure to work with you, so and bring that energy through for you in your website and your branding and help you with that. So thank you for that. Yeah, and I get that, because that's me too, you know. I talk to angels, and I always have done. And hi everyone, it's lovely to see you all here, and I hope that what we share today will be useful, and I am delighted to answer any questions, as Aisling said. So yeah, I'm Lynda Mangoro, also known as the Creative Genie, which was a name I came to because I'm a bit of an all-rounder, really. At the core of everything, I am an artist. That's what it comes down to. So we're here to talk about tech, but for me, really it all begins with art, and tech is just another expression of that art. And to me, art, that is that essence, it's that energy, that's, you know, spiritual energy, that universal energy, that source energy that inspires us all and that drives us. I've always been connected to that, even when I was a child, and it came through in my drawings and in my artwork as a child. As I went through my education, I was drawn to go more into tech. I studied multimedia systems at university, but the reason why I chose that course was because it really married art and tech together. And for me, I got really excited about the possibilities of using technology to express that energy and that essence. So I learned different things like animation, like making websites, graphic design, you know, using things like Photoshop and various tech tools that could just enhance the creativity and bring through that energy even more. So the world, I saw it like a paintbrush, like just a different medium. And that's the way I still view tech. So when I left uni, I went into the corporate world of web design, and I worked for a web development company, a London company, for some years. And I loved what I learned there. And I also loved that I learned that it wasn't my place and it wasn't necessarily my people, you know, because I really had to try and put myself in a box and produce these designs that were very clinical and very boring, and didn't really set me alight or bring me to life. And I would go home in the evenings, and I'd be writing my spiritual book about teenagers astral projecting and all these things. And that was where my real passion is, you know. I wanted to, and then Facebook came along, and I connected more and more with like-minded people, and I wanted more of that, but I still loved the tech. So when I had my third son, I've got 4 sons, when I had my third son, I made a promise to myself that I wouldn't go back into that corporate workplace. And I just called on everything. I called on God, and I called on my angels, and said, I want to make this work. I want to use everything I know for good in the world, and to help people like me to get out there and to share their gifts with the world. And from there, really, it started small, and people would come to me who I knew, you know, healers that I knew. I helped to make websites, and it really did start off very small, my business. Then I would be asked to illustrate books. I've illustrated lots of children's books, particularly around spiritual themes, and graphic design, just all sorts of creative things. And over the last 10 years or so, my business has grown to the point where I'm so proud to say I work with and support so many amazing people who are really sharing their light and their gifts in the world. And that's my passion. And I'm able to use all those tools that I learned at uni, learned in the corporate world, and that I have learned since, because tech is always changing, and I'm always on top of that because I love it. And I use those tools, and I align them with the energy that comes through to support people in creating whatever it is they need to create to get their gifts out in the world. And that's really what I do, and that's my passion. So sorry, I'm going off on a tangent now, but that's it. So, and I hope that I can use some of that to help you with where you are, and give you some answers that might support you today.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks a million, Lynda. I learned some things that I didn't know about you either. So,
so we're all a book, aren't we? We all have a story.
Yeah, well, that's so we're going to jump into the big secret about branding that you've been speaking to me about. So I'd love you to just dive into that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it really relates to what I was just saying, I think. I mean, it's all obviously related. There are streams that go throughout all of the themes. Is that we think of branding, and branding came about with, with in the corporate world, really, and with, the big brands like Coca-Cola and things like that we think of when we think of branding. And we've come to think of it, I mean, branding literally means, like when they would brand cattle and put their mark on something, it literally means putting your mark on something. But I think there's this fear that comes up, because when we think of branding, we think, I have to have an amazing looking logo, and I have to get it just right, and that there's some secret to that design that will make that logo sell stuff for you, or make those fonts sell stuff for you. And I just think we need to let go of that, strip it back a little bit, and understand that what branding really is you communicating your essence with the world. And that's simply what it comes down to. It doesn't matter how that looks. The logo doesn't have to be perfect in corporate terms. It doesn't have to be a certain shape or a certain colour. It has to reflect your essence, because people will feel that when they see it. People will feel the energy of your branding. They won't be analysing it, they'll be feeling it. So when you show up with a banner on Facebook, the images that you use, the fonts that you use, the colours that you use, and if you have a logo, and you don't need to have a logo, you can just use your name in colours that work for you. If that's what you can do, then that's great, as long as it really reflects you. And how do you know if it reflects you? You feel good about it. You want to share it. You feel like, yeah, this really says me. This really is communicating my energy. And once you get that, and you use that then consistently, use those colours and use those fonts and use that kind of imagery consistently across everything you put out there, that's when it becomes your brand, because it's recognizably you energetically and visually. So it's not about what it looks like, it's about how it feels. And it's about making sure that it vibrates with your essence.
And I
hope that makes sense.
Yeah, the thing I learned from you in going through the web design process myself with you was you only need about 3 colors.
Yes,
like one font, 1 or 2 fonts, and I was just using everything. I was just,
so just getting
from everywhere.
Specific. Absolutely, that's what I generally do is font wise, I would generally specify 2 fonts, maybe 3, and one of them will be a kind of a plainer font, a body font that we'll use, and one of them will be a font that we'll use for headings, which, depending on you and your energy, for some people it's a swirly handwriting font that feels right, for some people it will be more the traditional kind of serif fonts, the old book looking ones. There are so many great fonts out there, and I have some great free font resources which I'm happy to share later, and post those for you to share with your group, Aisling. But it's not about looking at someone else's branding and going, oh well, they have a swirly font, so I must have a swirly font because that works for them. If it doesn't reflects you, then it won't work for you. And you're right with the colours, it's just about nailing it. So the first thing I do when I'm working on branding with somebody is to connect with them. Like it's the most important thing. The reason why your fonts and your colours came through as they did is because we connected together on an energetic level. And then I think we just started by speaking about you and what you do and your passions and what you love, and then the communication between us happened on a different level. Even as we were talking, I was seeing the colours and I was just having you bring it through, they were your colours and that was your fonts and it was your vibration. I was just a channel to help bring that into, to actually kind of manifest that as a design. But you don't have to work with a designer. By all means work with a designer. And if you do work with a designer, make sure that they're open to that, find somebody who gets that and who's willing to talk that language with you and willing to put you into the design, not just to design it how they think it should look. I think that's an important difference. And you'll know if it's the right person.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're right, you really don't need, it's just, I would say 2 fonts, maybe 3, if you want to have some variation to use, if you're doing a lot of, images and designs with words on. Choosing an image style, and there are great image resources, free image resources out there where you can find really high quality photography that you are completely free to use at no cost, because it's under the Creative Commons license, which means that even for commercial use it's free, on sites such as unsplash.com and pixabay.com. My favourite is unsplash.com, and I use that in a lot of my design work as well. They've got some great images on there. So it's about finding a style that resonates with you and then just saving a bank of images, and then you can just crop them using an online tool like, what's it called? Canva. Canva.com is an online tool where you can cut images, you can crop them, and you'll start to realise you're building up your brand because you're pulling in these elements that resonate with you and using them across everything that you put out there, and then it becomes consistent and people start to recognise that as your flavour and your essence.
Mm-hmm. And you can take that once you get those colours and those fonts, you choose them, and I have to say it took me, I think in the end we went through about 16 fonts before and I showed them to, I don't know how many people to just share it out there. And in the end, I didn't take any of their advice. I picked me on the list. I was like, that's it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a helpful process because it's reflecting something back to you. And actually what you'll find is when you put them out there and share them, like, which one do you like? If people say to you, I really like number 3, you'll find something in you going, no, I don't like number 3. I wanted you to say that one. It helps you to realise which one you like.
Yeah.
But make it fun, Playing with branding is one of the funnest things. I love it. It's like, have that fun at the beginning with it when you're choosing those things, when you're looking at the fonts. Make it a fun process, and then that it will resonate with that fun and with your energy. So yeah, that's a great point though. Sharing for feedback is great, but you might find that the feedback leads you somewhere that you don't expect it to.
Yeah. Okay, if there's any questions on branding or colours or anything, just post them in the chat and we will get to them. So I want to jump into the next point, and that is the thing you need to know before you even start creating a website. So just, this was really juicy and not something that I even considered. So.
Oh, really? Yes. So yeah, I know a lot of people feel this pressure to have a website, and you know, business owners like, I must have a website and it must have A, B and C on. So you jump in and you kind of create this site, you look at what other people have done, you make a site, and you may have skipped the most important point in that process, which is really planning out your user journey. Because at the end of the day, the website isn't for you, it's for the visitors who come to the site. And if you haven't defined a user journey, if you don't even know what you want that user journey to be, then the site becomes nothing more than just a brochure that people will come to and then close. You know, unless you lead them on a journey through the site has no point, in a way, because people won't look at it. So really, before you even begin to make your site, I would suggest sitting down with a piece of paper and thinking, what do I want people to do when they come to my website? What is the point of my site? Like, what action do I actually want people to take? And then you need to plan your site in a way that will guide them to take that action. So I think we were saying before, people generally will leave a site after 10 seconds if they've not been prompted into taking an action, or, you know, really compelled to do something. For most people, the action that you will want them to take, and it may differ slightly depending on your website and your business, but for most people, you really want to try and get people to join your list so that you can continue communicating with them. And you would do that usually via an opt-in form, which you can just offer them for them to join your list if you have some amazing information to share. Quite often people will offer a free gift called a lead magnet, which will be some representation of your value to them, like a snippet of your value. It could be a PDF checklist, it could be a meditation, it will be really unique to you, it will be something that doesn't take you too long to make, but that gives a really good a good snippet of your flavour, so they can see whether they resonate with that and whether you're the right person for them. It's something that will speak to your people, will call in your tribe, and they will want to put their email address in order to download that. And that way you get to extend that 10 seconds and extend that conversation with them, because then you've led them into your list. Then you can start thinking about how to communicate with them and how to start that love story with them, as we were saying before, Aisling. You know, rather than asking them to marry you the minute they come to your site, you want to woo them a bit first so they can get to know you and see whether you're a match, and then further down the line you will send them the link to your sales page, and it won't be like you're just straight up trying to sell them something straight away. You're offering them something of value, and they know that that's right for them because you've built up that relationship, and they're still there, they're still with you on that journey. But it's taking it back to that point of the website, is that, you know, if they're gone, if you haven't asked them to do something and they've left your website in 10 seconds, then all of that opportunity is gone. So really plan what is it that you want them to do, and then make that clear, make it the first thing on your website. That's not to say that there's no other things on your website. You can by all means have blogs on your website, have a shop on your website, have all these things on your website. But if you guide your visitors into taking an action such as opting in to your list, then you just open up the lines of further communication. Those who come to your site looking for your services will still find your services if that's what they want. If they want to buy something, they will find that. If they want to read your blog, most likely you will have posted your blog on social media and they will have come directly to your blog. Have all those things. We're talking about here for the people who are coming to your homepage, and then just guiding them into that action. So yeah, I would recommend making just a little map of your user journey, what you would like them to do on your site.
Yeah. And you know, the two important things are opt-in.
Mm-hmm.
This was, you sent to me, what's your CTA? And I was like, what's a CTA? After it took me a while to get the courage, and I was like, I don't know what CTA is. And you were like, it's a call to action.
Yes.
And it's like, so, of course I understood it, but I didn't understand that it was
the language. Yeah.
The language, yeah. And this is what I teach, is that you can give away as much free content, you know, which is usually highly valuable, as you want, but unless you have your CTA, your call to action, mm-hmm. within that blog or that video or that freebie, you've lost that opportunity and it's not just an opportunity to sell somebody something, it's an opportunity to share your gifts and to serve to serve somebody. Because if people are coming to your website, they're coming because they need something. They see something in you, they feel it in your energy that you can help them. And if you don't make an offer, if you don't have a call to action to bring them on a journey to get to know you better and to trust you and to, you know, to feel if you're the right person to really help them right now, it's a disservice. It's a lost opportunity for both of you. You know, for you to get paid for your valuable work in the world, but for that person to have huge transformation. So it's almost a duty, every single blog, every single piece of content that you give out there, to offer people an opportunity to go deeper, to get the bigger experience, the bigger transformation, if they choose to. And I'll briefly, like if you look at my website, ashlingmooney.com, on the front page, the home page, there's my branding at the top. It's me, and it's who I'm here to serve, Lightworkers, with a spiritual business. And then underneath is the first opt-in, and that's for the spiritual business breakthrough training, the free training. So immediately they're brought in there, and it's completely tailored to that audience that will be 90% clicking on that on my website. So they have an opportunity to get some really valuable free piece of content, 7-step training. And they in exchange for that, they go on my email list, and I'll take them through that training and then make an offer to go deeper. And some of you that are listening to this have taken the Abundant Heart, which was the offer then after that free training, or have jumped into a deeper program, the VIP, the Mastery at Metatron. So that's the journey, and that's the start of it. But if somebody comes on that website and they think, oh, well, I don't really want that opt-in, just beneath that is a choice of blogs. So I think there's 3 or 6 blogs that I have posted in the blog section, but the highlight of them is at the bottom of that page. So it's in theory, it's giving people 7 opportunities to consume some piece of content to get to know me a bit better. And on each single blog, when they click through to that blog, there's a CTA, there's a call to action. So it's bringing them into that journey. And then also on that page, I think there's 3 different ways that you can work with me as well. So just to give you, you know, what Lynda is saying, that I hope it explains a little bit deeper about this client journey and the process and what you want to do. If you don't have an opt-in, if you don't have a CTA, call to action, on your website, it's honestly ruthlessly useless, nearly useless, because as Lynda said, it's a lost opportunity. It's not really a business tool without your opt-in and without your call to action throughout your site. And that's been absolutely honest. And it's your duty to get those as quickly as possible. And we know that you can, I certainly learned it in the beginning myself through trial and error, you know, but you can get support with that as well. And I think that will bring us into the next part, which you were saying you really wanted to get the message across about how to make friends with tech.
Yeah, or more the desire to make friends with tech, because I think, you know, especially in the spiritual world, we can be really averse to tech. And I hope that this message has come through everything I said today, but I just really wanted to make a point of it, that tech can be your friend. And if you let it be your friend, it can really support you in your business and in reaching more people. And I know that all of you here do have amazing gifts that you're sharing with the world already. Tech, when used in the right way, is designed to enhance that process, automate that process even sometimes. And that's not to say that it's completely taking you out of the process and that you're not giving that value to people. It just can automate the parts that you can otherwise be wasting your time on, you know, by having the opt-in set up, by having emails sent out automatically, and all these things. I know they can be overwhelming to start with, but you can learn them, and then there is support out there with all of these things. And once you know how to do them, it is easy and it can be your friend and it can really support your business. And that's the message I really want to get across, that tech doesn't have to be this big scary monster, that it actually, if we change the way we look at it and look at it as a tool to support us and be willing to embrace that and to say, yes, I'm going to expand my comfort zone and I'm going to explore a bit more, and I'm going to call in the support that I need with that, then it can maybe take your business and your services and the people, even the people you can reach with your services and the people you can support and help. It can really open that up for you even more. It has for me. I know the more I've learned, and I'm always learning, and I mean, these things, new things are scary to me when I first come across them. I completely understand, and even as a tech person, I'm always having to get to know new things. But when I embrace that, and then there comes the day where I think, well, I'm so glad I did that and embraced that and made that my friend, because now that's actually supporting me. You know, those emails are bringing people to me, or that tool on my website is, you know, people are using that to contact me, and just using that tech in conjunction with your energy and your essence. You know, it doesn't have to be separate from it. It can support it. It can be a tool. It can be a paintbrush to get you more out there in the world and reaching more people. So that's what it's not really a direct do this kind of point. It's just more of a mindset around it, I think, just to see whether, I don't know whether there's someone in particular listening, but just who needed that message. But it's kind of opening up your mind to that maybe tech, maybe you need to befriend tech a bit more in order to I can see somebody who looks like they might be receiving this message. So that's good.
And
that was
yeah, the key for me was when you said to just be open to tech. Be open to it, because a lot of us, when it's something new and scary and there's, you know, opt-ins and all these new terms and Aweber, and I'm talking about Aweber and MailChimp and stuff like that in the program this month, and you can just send you running for the hills. And it's like, you know, I often say to people, do you drive? You know, did you know how to drive before you started driving? The answer is always no. And it's after you learn to drive, can you ever unlearn it?
Exactly.
And it's like, I can see that now. I was able to set up a 3-part mini course, create a whole 20 email series, attach them to it, put the opt-in onto a sales page, connect that to my Facebook and send people there, and I create a Facebook group, and it was a day's work, where like 3 years ago that might have taken me a week or 2 weeks, because it would have been painstakingly you know, going through the process and being so scared of making mistakes and, you know, really learning as I'm going. But after that, it becomes so easy and becomes automatic that you can't unlearn it. You can always grow and you can always add more to your skills, because, as you said, tech is always changing. But a lot of the basics, once you get them, about your email, about calls to action, about what an opt-in is and how to use it to your advantage in your business to reach more people, it does become automatic. And you realize, like, I know, for example, a lot of people had, say, MailChimp or Aweber. I think in more times it was MailChimp. But they didn't realize that you have more than one list. So people were like, I'll just add them to my list with that freebie. But it's multiple freebies and multiple opt-ins. Once you do your first one, it doesn't end there. You continue to do that. So in the example of the mini series that I created recently, that's probably the 10th or even 20th opt-in that I've created and free piece of content. So it doesn't end there, but it is a skill that once you get it, just continues to stay with you. You never lose it.
I can't imagine my business without MailChimp now. Like, everything is set up with lists, like you just said. I have lists for opt-ins and lists for different things, and you're right, you can't unlearn it. It's, you know, it becomes such a valuable tool, and I try and imagine where my business would be without that now, and I think it would be so much more limited than it is. It really has allowed me to reach more people, and that was a great example.
Yeah. So listen, I'm going to go through some of the questions to see if there's any questions here that we can dip into, and then we'll move on to the next piece. So Fidama has a quick question. Is it easy to change from a headway team to another team? Now, I even haven't got a clue what that means. So if you know what that means.
Well, I'm guessing we're talking about a WordPress theme here. I don't specifically know the Headway theme. I haven't experienced that theme personally, but I have changed websites from a lot of themes to other themes. And generally, all themes should be designed to make that change swift and easy. So most new themes will automatically take your content into the page. It completely depends on the theme you're changing from and the theme you're changing to, how they will behave. But all themes should have been designed with that in mind, with that, you know, with the possibility that you may want to change your mind. So there may be things that you need to do within the new theme just to get everything looking perfect. But if you choose a theme that has come from a reputable source and has good support and a good guide with it, then those steps should be made clear to you. So it should be simple. I just want to add to that, and continuing on from what we were just talking about, tech these days, particularly when we're talking about mailing lists and WordPress, WordPress plugins and WordPress themes, tech these days has been designed for people to use who are not tech people. So it's always, they always have that in mind. I would say with WordPress, always check before you download whether it's a plugin or a theme. Have a look at how many other people have bought that. Have a look at when it was last updated and make sure it's still being currently supported, because a lot of plugins, they could have last been updated in 2005 and they might not be compatible with, you know, the WordPress is constantly being updated. And look for themes that have good support, a good amount of downloads, and are kept up to date by the makers of that plugin or that theme. When I first started making websites, you know, it wasn't possible for somebody, unless they knew HTML and CSS code, to make a website. Tech now has changed so much that we can do this, and that's what's so exciting about it, you know, with tools like WordPress. And it's becoming more, the themes these days come with front-end builders. I don't know which theme you have in mind, but the really good and easy ones to use come with these front-end builders that make it even easier, that even I know how to code a website, use Divi theme, which has a front-end builder, because it just makes it so much quicker and easier, which means that I can charge my clients less for the work that I'm doing for them. You know, websites don't have to be this huge project that takes months and months and months now, because the tools are so refined and so easy to use that as long as you have a clear plan for what you want to create, it's easy to do it with these modern themes. So hopefully that helped. If you have any more questions on that, feel free to ask.
Yeah. And like, just a question just popped into my head, and it's like, because I had one client, like I was talking about doing this webinar. Well, I was thinking about it in my head. I hadn't even asked you yet, Lynda. And I just posted a question in my Master at Metron group and just asked them what email they had set up, what website design, that, you know, how they were with their website, and did they have one. And in some cases people didn't have one, and in some cases didn't know where to start. And in one case, oh God, there was just horror stories, like, you know, somebody paying thousands for a website that was taking more than a year, and it still wasn't finished. No. And I knew that they were going to have to continue to pay hundreds and hundreds afterwards for the maintenance of that, because I've had that experience myself when I worked with a designer that was just completely didn't resonate with me. And I didn't understand how to work the website afterwards, that it just cost me, and I had to just pull the plug on it, because it was just like hundreds and hundreds of for little tiny tweaks. And that's why my journey was, I have to learn this myself, because I can't keep paying. You know, at the beginning of your business, it's difficult to have thousands there to invest in a beautiful website. And then if you invest it and it doesn't bloody well work, that's the, so there was these stories. And there was someone else in the group, who is fairly techy, but just had problems with hosting. There were the site kept being hacked, but it wasn't hacked. It was hacked maybe twice or three times in the last 6 months. They lost all their content, and they had to pay hundreds to get it back up. So it was almost in the hosting company's interest. You know, who knows who was hacking, who was causing the virus or whatever, to get it down, because each time it went down, that person had to pay a few hundred pounds or euros to get it back up and running again. And it still wasn't completely secure then afterwards. So there's, you know, there's these different stories that came through just from that post. And I think at that point I messaged you and said, look, would you be interested in doing this webinar just to give people a little bit of support?
Yeah. Oh, those stories. And I just want to fix it for everyone. Like, it shouldn't have to happen now. I mean, people, those website projects that take months and months and months, there was a time when they did, because we were hand coding those sites, you know. And maybe if it's, you know, it still happens, not everyone uses WordPress now, and there are other systems, but in my opinion, WordPress is the best system for people like us who you know, run our small or individual spiritual businesses. We don't need custom websites unless your website is doing something really bespoke, like that needs to be programmed by a programmer. WordPress is fine. WordPress is so adaptable that it can be made completely unique to you and your brand and your message and your services, and it does everything you need to do via these easy to use modules, or plugins as they're called, including security. And, you know, building a WordPress site shouldn't take a year, in my opinion. So I don't know whether this person who had that experience still had an old school designer who was literally building the site from scratch by code, and it could have been that that's what was happening. But with WordPress, it doesn't need to take that long, especially if you use a modern theme like Divi, and there are other ones, but that's my preferred choice. And also with security, I would just like to add, just because you brought it up, there are plugins you can use which can help keep your site secure. WordPress is an open source system, and as an open source system, which means that lots of developers have developed it and made it freely available and continue to develop it. With any open source system, you will always have risks of being hacked, because the code is available to anyone, therefore hackers can find a way into the code. But there are ways to keep it as secure as possible. One of those ways is keep your website updated. When you go into your WordPress dashboard, on the top left of the menu, there's a little area which says updates, and it will have a little number with an orange, usually orange colour behind it, if you need to update anything. So that's the area which will tell you whether your WordPress itself, whether your theme, or whether any of your plugins need to be updated. This is the best step you can take in securing your website, because when these things become outdated, it gives hackers a way in. Quite often the updates to plugins and themes are because the people who make those have found a security issue and have patched it, so created a fix for it. So basically, when a hacker finds a way into something, the people who develop that something will fix it and give you the fixed version. So it's really important to click on that updates bit and just one at a time click through and click update on those things. 99.9% out of times of doing this, you won't experience any problems. I know very occasionally after an update there can be conflicts or problems, in which case then you will need to get support if you don't know how to fix it. But don't be scared of doing it, because your host should be able to offer you support if that happens. I have a group called the Genie Academy, and my members in there, that's what I'm there for. They'll come to me if they have problems, and there's tutorials and all sorts and how to do all these different things. But there's support available out there, so don't not do it because you're scared, because if you don't do it and you do end up getting hacked, and I know people this has happened to as well, and there's no backups and all this, and you have to pay hundreds for your host to retrieve it, then that's more heartbreaking. So I would just say, if you're running a WordPress site, once a week maybe go in and check, does anything need updating? I've never experienced a problem when clicking update. I highlight them all at once, click update, leave it for a few minutes, and then they're all updated, and that's all there is to it. So just, it is important to do that. Also, there's a great plugin you can install called iThemes Security, which you can just go to plugins, add new, search for iThemes Security. It's all free. Install it, and then go into the settings and just tell it to secure my site. And then it will be running, it will be doing its thing in the background the whole time. And what it does is it links to a database of known hackers, and it blocks them from your site. So their IP addresses and their email addresses, if they try and get in through forms on your site or through the various ways that hackers do, which I don't really want to know about, it can block them. And then if there is a new hacking attempt on your site, it will add that IP address to the list. So it's like a global list that you become joined to. It does other things as well, but my host recommended that to me, my hosting company who I use. And since I've been using it across all my sites and all my clients' sites, we haven't had any hacking problems. So hopefully that will help with that. I don't want to overwhelm you with all all these things, but they're really good. Once you've got them in place, they're done. And once you're in the habit of updating your sites, they're generally as secure as they can be then.
Yeah. Vidal just asking, what was the name of the security plugin again?
Sorry, so it's iThemes, all one word. So ITHEMES and then security.
Okay.
iThemes security.
Okay. And WordPress is WordPress.com or WordPress.net, or is it WordPress.org to actually go?
Oh, I get confused. So there's one that is a blogging site where you can set up a blog with them, and there's one where you can then download WordPress, and I don't want to tell you the wrong one now. I think WordPress.com is the one where you download the site, but I'll have to check that, and then we can tell you for sure.
We'll post that afterwards. I didn't even think to ask you that, because I remember that I was doing two different things. I was doing a .org and a something else. So yeah,
it can be confusing, because they also have a site where you can go and just set up a blog on their site. So it's a different thing to having an independent WordPress site.
Yeah. Okay. So when I get clarity on that, I'll post it in the Facebook group. So there are a few questions, and I think we're going to come to them in about 5-10 minutes. But what I'd love you to talk about right now, because I think it leads in beautifully, the couple of options that you offer, which I, hand on my heart, think they're absolutely incredible, and think the value that you give is off the charts. And I've said this to you as a spiritual business mentor. I've said to you, what the fuck are you doing with those prices? They need to go up. But I understand your idea behind it, and so I'd love you to talk a little bit about that. So, but just my lead into that is that you have one piece, which is a DIY website, which is what I came to you with. I was like, you were like, I'm working on this. You'll be the first to try it out. What do you think? It's a DIY. I'll give you 5 templates. You choose one, and then I'll help you. I'll give you instruction. So 6 months in the Genie Academy, and then you can, you get step-by-step how to actually upload to that website template. And the template includes opt-ins, and it helps you set up all the different pieces that you need in a website, and the blog and all that, and the shop if you have a shop. I don't have a shop. So that's what we came to, and you showed me the first template, and the first one I was like, oh my God, that's my site. That is the exact colors. It was like, I said, you just made that for me. So we went with that. I didn't even have to look at any other themes or any other, versions of that theme. And we went with that. So you have this DIY version. Now I stepped up into the done for you version, where you actually done it because I'm a bit lazy and I didn't mind paying the extra to get that done. And I also paid for you to do some branding, a particular logo for me that I wanted. So there are other options, but I'd love you to talk about, say, the basic one that is just affordable for everybody. So if you're only starting out and all of this is gobbledygook and you really can't make sense of opt-ins and CTAs and all that, hopefully you have a little bit more clarity now. But if you're in that place and you're just like, look, I just love to go to somebody that's trustworthy, that can help me with this, and it's not going to cost me thousands and thousands. So if you want to talk a little bit about that smaller offer, and then maybe the done for you offer, that some people may be ready to jump into that as well. And then we'll do questions after that. We'll answer the rest of the questions after that.
Okay, great. Yeah. So I've been working, as I said, with coaches and healers and all sorts of people making these websites for some time. And what I came to realize over the last couple of years, particularly with the technology I'm using, is that for a lot of these websites I was making for people, there were basic steps in that process which were the same, and basic technology blocks which were the same each time. And I thought to myself, if I could make myself a template to use each time that I create a website for somebody, which has all of those elements in it, then it will reduce the time that I need to spend working, and therefore reduce the cost for them. And I know that for a lot of spiritual business people, it matters for everyone, how we don't all have thousands around to invest in these things. So that's where the idea came from. And then it grew into that, well, I could actually make a complete template website with spiritual business owners in mind, with everything that my clients have wanted and needed on their site. So all the front end things, including the pages set up, so home page, about page, services page, contacts page, an opt-in form on the home page, blogs, a shop, I hope I'm not forgetting anything, but testimonials, you know, with all that stuff already kind of on there and designed as an example, which would just then need to be customized with your content and your branding, and it's ready to go. So that's what I did. I created this site, and I also added all the plugins that I would add for my clients in the back end. So it has the security plugins, it has backup plugins, it has the shop plugins, and the social media integration, everything that I would put in my client sites when I was working with them for longer and charging a lot more money with those custom projects. And I put it together in a template, and as Aisling said, she was my first guinea pig with it. And we've had quite a few people since who are delighted with it. And yeah, I started to sell it. So that's my offer to you today. I have this website. It's called the Easy Designer website. The cost of the do-it-yourself website, which comes with installation, a user guide which tells you how to do everything, how to add your content, how to customize it, how to link it to your own mailing list, whatever that may be with, how to connect it to your social media, how to link it to your PayPal to take payments. All of that, that package comes for £333. And that includes 6 months in my Genie Academy for support if you do get stuck with anything. And I'm in my Genie Academy daily to answer questions if people need support. So that's that first option, which is available for you today. And then if you don't want to do all that yourself, if you're interested in the site and you think I don't really want to customize it and add all my content and connect it to all my accounts and all of that business, we offer that as a done for you service, which me and my team can do for you. You provide the content, we communicate with you to help you, work out what you need. You provide the content and the images, you guide us with your branding colours and so forth, and then we just literally do it all for you. So you end up with a site that's ready to go live. For that service, it's an additional 666. But I have an offer just for people on this webinar for £100 off, and I can give you a code to use if you're interested in that, which will give you £100 off, bringing the complete price, if you wanted the website and the done for you today, to £899. I think, and I hope I covered everything there. Tell me if I missed anything, Aisling.
Yeah, and that's it. And then I think I got those two. And I also got the branding as well. I bought some extra Genie hours so that I could just say Lynda, and it just saved me. It saved me days and days and days. And I think my website in total, it did take a few weeks. It probably took about 3 months, but that was only because I couldn't give you the content fast enough. So whenever I gave you the content, it was literally what would have taken me a week to do was done in half an hour, because I literally remember one day sitting down with an email and writing about 20 points, and you came back to me within a half an hour and said, that's all done. And I was like, oh my God. So this has been life-changing for me, this using your services. Having worked with a couple of designers and having designed countless crappy websites myself, this has been literally life-changing for me. And I would have invested way more, because I was at a point in my business where I was ready to. And when you came along with this 323 and then the few, for me, it was just a no-brainer. And I asked Lynda what could she give us off, and she said she can give €100 off, and she'll keep that until Friday available. But I would suggest that people jump in on that straight away. So I'm going to stick a link in the chat box, and then I'll attach a link to this video with the replay, so that anyone that's interested even in just going and having a look again at this done for you package. And then, isn't it you said if they go in through the checkout, the DIY package and then the done for you package option, if they want to choose that, they can go in, and if they put in the code, they get 100.
Yeah, so you can get the DIY package. Exactly. And you can add on the, if you add on the done for you, then when you get to checkout, if you add in spiritual into the coupon code, so it's just the word spiritual, that will give you the £100 discount from that, from the total price. And I just noticed somebody's asked, would we have admin rights and be able to amend the sites? Yes, the site is completely yours. So just to clarify, we will install the site for you. Wherever you want us to, we can install it on your hosting. If you want to, if you already have hosting, we can install it there. If you want it installed on your hosting, but you don't want your live site that you already have to be covered up until the site's ready to go, we can temporarily host it for you and then install it once the site is ready to go. Or the other option with hosting is we also offer hosting only exclusively for our Easy Designer website customers. We offer hosting, and actually as part of the deal you get 3 months free hosting, and then it's $9.99 a month after those 3 months if you haven't already got hosting and you want us to host it for you. But the site remains yours. You have full access and full admin access to that site to change anything, do what you want with it. But I will always be there to support you. You know, my support is available through the Genie Academy, and we do also have ongoing support packages if you felt that you wanted support going forwards with the updates and the backups and even content updating. But you know, they're you know, you don't have to have those. The site is yours. It's up to you.
And it's the step-by-step instructions. So you have this setup guide, and it's all the steps. So how to write a blog, how to post a blog, how to add a picture to your blog. You know, how to do, you have the opt-in set up then, but how to adjust it so it's your particular opt-in with your words, your fonts, your branding and colors. So it's literally step by step. So it's just, that's what I love about it, is that you can go back in. If you're stuck on something, you can go back in and find the manual, find that part in the contents. And I didn't do any of that. I handed it over to you. That's why I don't know about it, but
but you're right, it does. It's a full guide. There's a full guide that comes with it, and if there's anything that's not in the guide, it should all be in there because people have been using it and seem to be getting on fine with it. If there was anything that didn't make sense, that's what the group's there for. You can come and get clarity and support in the group. So my aim really, I just want people to get websites easily. I want people to be supported. So I'm really flexible and I'm constantly tweaking things so they work for you. That's my aim, is to make websites not this really expensive, really difficult thing to get. I want you all to have websites that work for you in the easiest and most affordable and achievable way possible. So, and I am available for branding. I do work one-on-one with people. I have a service where I can work one-on-one with you and go really deep into that part and create your branding for you. But feel free to come and ask me about that and connect with me afterwards as well. So just in case you were missing that step and wondering.
Yeah. So, to wind up on this piece, I hope that you have enjoyed this, the content that we've provided today. I've learned loads, even though I've worked with you, Lynda, and I was learning as I was going and my own journey, but I've learned a lot, and I really hope that it answered a lot of your questions. We're going to hang on here for another 20 minutes or so just to answer the questions in the chat box. If you've heard enough, if you've got your value and you want to, you know, you can go now and you can take those tips and use it on your own. You know, there's plenty of free resources out there, as Lynda said, YouTube, Google, just go and the information is there. If, however, you want some support, you have the two options, the DIY version for $333, and you can also, if you feel like it, add on the done for you version, which is an extra $666, but you get 100 off with the code spiritual, and that's completely up to you. So I'm gonna just say that €100, the offer is available all the time, but just that €100 off is only available up until Friday. Isn't that right, Lynda? You were saying, so
that's correct
for this week. So anyone watching this or the replay, and I just, hand on my heart, 100% recommend Lynda and her work. So I will post the link for you in the chat box, and I'll also post it with the replay for this video. But just quickly, I'm going to go through the questions. So Fadama asked your comments about her particular branding, but I don't know if we have time to actually jump onto a website. So maybe that might be something, Fadama, that you look, you know, you might go and have a look at. Lynda's site and see maybe in one of your blogs or something you might address that, Lynda, a little question about more about branding, more deeper. But I don't know if we have time to actually go on to Fidelma's site and have a look at that. We can see it when we get to the end. But so Ray says she has a subscribed newsletter. People get a free meditation. That's brilliant. She does angelic Reiki. How would I be able to put a CTA on my website? I don't have a product. I just help people heal themselves. So I'm going to answer that in my way quickly, and then you can give your take on it. So Ray, I just want to say, ray of sunshine, ray of light. I'm sure you are out there like all of us, healers, big hearts. You want to heal the world. You want to make it a better place. And you can do that for free for as long as you want and for as long as it's not draining. However, if you want to create a business, which I think you said you had, I'm guessing that if you're here, you have a business, a spiritual business. To be in business, you have to be able to ask for money. You have to be able to receive money for your healing gifts. That's what a business is. If you're not receiving money, then you don't have a business. You have a hobby. Sorry if that sounds hard. And a lot of the people on here that are listening to me for years and years will know that I say that with all the love in my heart. And the reason is I don't want you to go to burnout. I don't want you to be the person out there that's giving and giving and giving and, you know, telling yourself you have a business, but you haven't got these pieces set up for you to actually be able to receive money for your gifts. If you were a computer programmer or an accountant or a surfer or whatever, a web designer, you're entitled to receive money for your gifts, for your healing gifts. And we don't question when it's a computer programmer or when it's an accountant or, you know, but we do question when it's healing. And that's going back to past lives, and it's going back to stuck patterns and blocks and beliefs that we have running. I had them running for a long, long time. That's why I was broke for years. I was working very, very hard, but I was broke. So it's just coming back to you saying you don't have a product and you're just here to help people heal themselves. So I would say that you do have a product. You offer hypnotherapy evenings. You do past life regression. You do angelic healing, Reiki. You do future life progression. You have loads of products there and loads of services. You might need some help getting really, really clear on the person that you're sacredly contracted to serve, and the transformation that you provide for that person and the value for them. And the Abundant Heart program deep dives into that area, and I'd be happy to support you in that. But I just want to say that this free training on my website is second to none for Lightworkers. So that will give you some really, really great foundational steps on this journey to looking at your sacred contract and who you're here to serve and the transformation that you particularly uniquely provide. And then, you know, it'll help you to develop packages and services around that. So please go and download that, and if you haven't already, and I'm sure that will help you. So I would say you do have a product, and it is your duty as a light worker and a healer to offer those products and those services and those packages out into the world, because there are people crying or being awake at night or really suffering because they haven't found the right healer, and that could be you, to really give them transformation in their life. So I really hope that you can hear my heart in that I really want to give you this opportunity today to really have a business, a spiritual business, and make some money from your gifts. And then, so this is for you, Lynda. If you want to add anything to that, that's good. But how would I be able to put a CTA on my website? So maybe you can answer.
Yeah, a CTA can be as simple as a button. So I agree with everything Aisling just said. You already have a business. It's just the question is receiving something in return for that service that you're offering. Once you're clear on that, and I do recommend Aisling's courses and resources on her website, but once you're clear on that, for example, using the Easy Designer website as an example, there's a services page. So you would probably list the services you're offering, such as the future life progression, the past life regression, those, even the meditation evenings, even if it's events, on the services page. And on the services page, the call to action alongside those would be the way that the person books, whether that's to email you, a button that leads to an email, whether there's a little form that they fill in and that gets sent by email, all of which are easy to add through the Easy Designer website, through the system that we use. It has this front end builder where you just click, I want to add a button here, and it puts it on and you tell it what you want the button to do. So you would have those there, or whether it's directly a link, a PayPal button to receive the money for that service. You choose what the call to action is on the services page, and then, as Aisling said, on your blog posts, at the end of your blog post, add a call to action, a button which links people to your services page. So whatever you're talking about on your blog post, for example, you link people then from that to your services page. So there's always this journey happening, always this link between your content and your services. So, and that's all a call to action is. It's enabling somebody to take an action that would lead them to the next part that you can offer them.
And I hope that one. Yeah, an example of that would be, say if I've written about a blog on life purpose and I'm talking about, you know, the healer's journey and how to figure out your sacred contract. And then at the end of that, my call to action would be, did you enjoy this blog? Are you a light worker? Do you want more help and support? Click on the button to get my free 7-step training, Spiritual Business Breakthrough. So that would be the way the call to action just leads in beautifully. And it's obvious, it's obviously related to the blog. Another call to action would be like literally a PayPal button, or bringing people to a sales page from a piece on the website. So, which
I think could work. You said you have, let me just go back to, so you have a newsletter, people get a free meditation. So I would then follow that up, depending on the system you're using for your newsletters. I would follow up the meditation that goes out to them with maybe a couple of emails, one asking how they get on, calling for them to respond to you, asking them how they enjoyed the meditation, whether you can be of further assistance, and then with a call to action at the end of that, which would link them then to whichever service you offer, probably to a sales page for a course or a service or whatever you offer that would most benefit them after that meditation. And that's really how it works. It's linking everything together. And these call to actions, they're just invitations for people to go deeper with you and receive your services.
So Ray, I hope that was useful. Please post in the chat box and let us know that was useful, or if you have any more questions around that. I just want to touch on, Fidelma has said she's had 4 websites in 14 years. And I guess that's 4 logos as well over the years, being self-employed. And maybe talk just very quickly on that, because I have had self-made logos and, you know, different, but I didn't really know anything about branding, but I have attempted versions of that. And I suppose it's a journey that changes and evolves over years. Certainly the logo that I use now, that we developed together, wouldn't have even been in my sphere of attention or focus, which is the sort of the Merkaba and the fleur-de-lis symbol, which I use. But I wouldn't have even been aware of that or used it in 5 years ago. So it's definitely has evolved with me as I've evolved, and my vibration has lifted and changed. So just if you could talk a little bit about that.
You answered it exactly. That was my answer. So, you know, as we take it right back to the beginning, as we said, branding is a reflection, or should be, if it works, it should be a reflection of your essence of where you are right now. And as we are constantly changing, we're constantly in flux, we're constantly growing and becoming more of who we truly are, it's natural that your branding will change to reflect that over time. So it probably wouldn't be right if you weren't revisiting your branding, especially when you know you've gone for a massive up level, an energetic up level, because your energy changes massively sometimes, and it is worth looking at your branding, and you'll know if it doesn't feel quite right anymore. The same with websites. You've had 4 websites. I can get that too. I have too. My website's changed so many times over the years. One thing I will say is that now, using these tools that are available, WordPress and the themes that are available, they are so much easier to change with us. They make it so much easier for the design to change with us, because the way the technology is now, you don't need to start again with a completely new website. If you decide in a year's time, actually that purple that I chose doesn't quite reflect me anymore, I want to change that to a blue or, you know, something else, that you would get all of this in the guide. You can go into the customizer, you can just literally change the colors that you're using in there, click save, and it's done. So it's not like you have to rebuild a new website every time you feel that your essence is changing. Hopefully the technology, you know, is set up in a way that it supports you as you grow.
Yeah. So another question is, Fidana says, what if you have a website and it just needs some tweaking? Is there any way you can support? So what sort of support would you recommend with somebody with that situation?
So for people who I've made a website for and who buy the Easy Designer website, we offer an ongoing support service, which is a monthly service where we can offer updates and backups, and there's different levels of support depending on what you need. We do keep that to the websites we've made, solely because it's quite hard sometimes to support a website that somebody else has made because they won't have used the technology that I would recommend, or or that I'm familiar with. So I wouldn't feel I could do that justice, and it would mean me learning new technology for every person I was supporting, which would I don't think it would be fair to me or them. So there are people who will support your website, your current website, and that support's definitely available out there. But in order to completely give my best service to the people who I've made a website for and who I've worked with on that, my support services are available for those people. There are small things I can do. It really depends on the kind of support you mean, but in terms of an ongoing monthly support thing, if you just need small tweaks, I could certainly have a discussion with you about it, and that's something we could do afterwards to see. But in an ongoing support manner, then that's kind of the service I offer.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Ray says, I have a hosting website that also designs my website. Would I still be able to use your services? So similar question.
It really depends on the host. I would need to know specifically what it is they do and what they offer. So, I mean, do they only host websites that they've designed, or was that an additional service that they offered? So it's completely dependent. You can use, is that so? When you say would you still be able to use my services, do you mean in terms of getting a new website or in terms of maintaining your existing website? I'm a little unclear on the exact implications of the question there, but I think I may have answered it in the previous question. And if you go with a new website, with the Easy Designer website, and you're asking more about hosting, whether or not they can host the Easy Designer website is just dependent on what they offer. We would look into that for you. And if they couldn't host it, we could certainly host it for you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I have created on webs, I've created like, I don't know how many websites, and that's a designer, and it was hosting, but I just switched over the hosting to a different hosting provider. I didn't use, because I already had hosting set up for a number of sites. So I just switched the hosting for those sites to a different host that was cheaper in the long run, because I had so many of them. But when it came to it, I was happy to just create a new website, a brand new website from scratch. That felt better for me. So even though I have an ashlingmooney.com and I have transformwithangels.com and I have transformwithangels in12weeks.com, it felt better right now for where I was to create a brand new website, ashlingmooney.com, with a H, the H that's always been there in my name but I didn't use, and just create that from scratch, and it feels really good, and that's where I will be sending all of my traffic to. And that website still links, those call to action still link to the other websites that I have, where I have already created working sales pages that I don't need to redo. Although you offer that service of actually helping somebody create a sales page. So you did one together, and you can just copy that and just adjust the text and the graphics and everything. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I don't think I mentioned that you get one sales page as part of that Easy Designer website package. I mean, there's a sample sales page on there. So if you get the do-it-yourself site, you can use that sample sales page as a guide to create your sales page. If you choose the done for you, we can do that for you. And then you can easily duplicate that sales page if you have more services that you want to offer. So that is all in there in the Easy Designer website as well.
Yeah. So I think it's really up to individually. Like as I said, for me, it was a no-brainer. It was like, okay, I'll just create a brand new site with a new domain name and look at the hosting separately and that. So it's very personal to where you are, Ray. If you're really happy with your site that you have, if it's working, if it has opt-in, if it has a call to action and it's working for you, it's generating money, and clients are coming and consuming your free products and your services, then there's no reason to create another one. But for me, I had all that, but it was no problem. It was obvious that I was going to create a new one. So it's up to you. Fidana says, what's the best way to connect with you with questions, Lynda?
The best way. So you can email me. Shall I pop the email address in the chat box?
Yeah. There? And I'm going to suggest, I haven't run this by you, so feel free to go no. But I'm going to suggest that, I don't know if you're in that free group, the Spiritual Business Breakthrough, but I might put you in there. And if people have questions until Friday, I don't imagine there'll be loads, and I'm not expecting you, maybe you might go in on Friday and maybe have a scroll through and see if there's any techie questions, or I'll tag you.
Perfect. Yeah,
then
because you guys are all in there anyway. You girls. I like calling girls guys. You're all in there anyway. So yeah, that's the best solution. Yeah, I think I might be in there anyway. But if not, then yeah, pop me in, and that makes sense. We can have all the questions in there, and
it also means that if you answer a question, that everybody gets the benefit of it.
Yeah,
everybody in that group. And you put your email in there as well, so people are free to email you. And you'll also be available-ish, not putting any pressure or time limits on that, or feel free to post your questions and Lynda will do her best.
Absolutely.
Between now and Friday to answer them. But
I'm very happy to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. So, and Ray says thank you that she'll have a look at our website. And she just needs to know how to package it. And thank you, that helps me with the CTA. So that's great. So I'm delighted that is helpful for you, Ray. And someone saying there, they really appreciated the information about the user journey and how it evolves. Mm-hmm. So that was an eye-opener for me as well.
Good.
And I just posted in the link, a direct link to the easydesignerwebsite.com, so you can go and have a look at that, and you can see, you can just read through the content and see if it's resonating with you and if you're ready to grab it. And that's Lynda's website, and that's it. So that is, if there's any more questions, you have 5 minutes to post it in the chat box. Otherwise, I really, really, really hope that this was valuable for you, and I'm so delighted to share Lynda's expertise here, and I thank you for bringing all of your heart here, Lynda, and really sharing openly and honestly with us, and dispelling some of the fear around tech. And I look forward to continuing to work with you. I found you. I'm never going to let you go now. And I'm delighted to share you with my community. So I hope that everybody has gotten value today. And I'm going to just pass you over to Lynda for a final, any word or anything you want to say on passing, just to end, Lynda.
Oh, just no, thank you. It's been a pleasure for me. I just, like I said, I just want to help as many of you as possible with whatever level of help you need. So I'm very happy to answer more questions. If you just need some more clarity around anything we spoke about, it's hard to pack so much in, isn't it, to an hour or so. And if you want to move forward then and have any more questions about working with me or anything else, then very happy to answer those too. Thank you, Aisling, for hosting this, because I am passionate about people befriending tech and really seeing the value of it to support their businesses, and I look forward to seeing you all thrive with that. So thank you for all being here today and showing up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing all your beautiful, wonderful websites out there shining bright in the world with your updates, PTAs and everything. Thanks so much, Lynda. You've been absolutely wonderful. Thank you.